Welcome back to the National Public Radio, where I, Anna White, will be looking at music in the Romantic era, a time when music was a longing for freedom and love. Today, we will take a look at the instruments, the powerful music created, and look inside the lives of the famous composers, all while taking note of the events happening in society and politics. During the time of the Romantic era, which includes the days between 1800 and 1890, aka the 19th century, the Enlightenment came about. The Enlightenment was a time of freedom and expression, which had not been a popular trait in society. The Enlightenment was also a time where society learned that one should think for itself instead of relying on the Catholic Church or faith. One of the biggest effects of the Romantic era was on the politics of government and the society. Leaders were looking at Romantic thinkers who believed strongly in nationalism and individualism. As society saw the changes in ideals and traditional life was being ripped apart. People started to demand a fresh way of life, including a fresh world of music. Thus, the Romantic era of music began. During this time, one of the most influential composers is Beethoven. Beethoven was part of the classical era, however, he was a huge inspiration and part of Romantic music and is even known for being one of the first Romantic composers. Beethoven was known for his music style, such as bringing out the emotion and expressing himself through his compositions. Today, we are going to listen to a segment of Beethoven's Für Elise, written on April 27, 1810. Für Elise was written for a woman that Beethoven wanted to marry, however, she did not. The composition was found over 40 years after Beethoven died. While the song was being transcribed, Beethoven's original title, Für Therese, became what we know as Für Elise. Another influential composer during the Romantic era was Johannes Brahms. Born in Germany of 1833, Brahms had known music his whole life. By the time Brahms was a teenager, he had already made a name for himself in the music world. Now we are going to listen to an excerpt from Brahms' A German Requiem. A German Requiem was a song Brahms finished after his mother's passing in 1868. The composition of a German Requiem was based on biblical text. For the world, one of the biggest inventions to influence daily lifestyle was the inventions of the steam engine and railroads. Now people could travel faster and safer. However, in the music world, ensembles were being improved to create a more clear and loud sound. For example, the strings and percussion sections grew as more musicians were added to the stage. Furthermore, the music world also got new instruments such as flutes and piccolos and trumpets and trombones. From the politics to the composers to the instruments, the Romantic era was an era of change for the world. Today, we saw that society was going through a time of new ideals and the traditional life evaporating. We took a look at some of the famous composers during the time and what their life was like in the midst of all the change. Then, we got to learn about the improvement in ensembles and the creation of new instruments. Today has been an insightful day and looking back at the Romantic era. Tune in tomorrow where we will take a look in another era of history. Thank you for listening on the National Public Radio, where I, Anna White, am your host. Good night, world.